My name's Simon Kiley.
My name's Matthew Deeprose.
I'm James Greenley.
We're looking to raise £1 million for Walking with the Wounded and Mission Motorsport, and to do this we're going to go to the North Pole.
In April 2013, the 3 members of the City Endeavour team will walk over 120 miles to the geographic North Pole, the most hostile environment on the planet.
Extreme cold. I think it's going to be down to about -50, possibly higher with wind chill.
It's not too cold that you can live.
Their aim, to raise over £1 million for Walking with the Wounded and Mission Motorsport. But to get there, first they must train.
I guess the whole thing evolved. Initially the phone call, August 2011, Simon phoned up, fancy going to the North Pole? Yes. No hesitation.
It's an area which is sort of close to my heart, having sort of a fair few friends in the army and what have you. It just seemed like a worthy cause, and it was all prompted really last August, last September, by simply watching something on TV. It was a TV programme I made on BBC about some injured ex-servicemen that walked to the North Pole, and that really sort of opened my eyes up and made me think I need to do something to show my support for this.
And couldn't believe what those boys had done fighting for our country, and then to come back and do something like that for their wounded colleagues. And I thought, what the bloody hell could we be doing?
People don't think about it, they don't. It's a long way away, isn't it? You get some 25-year-old who gets blown up in Afghanistan or wherever, and you hear about it on the news, and it's sort of in one ear and out the other. And as glib and as cliched as it sounds, these people do put their lives on the line for us.
It's what we want to do, it's what we're going to do, and if it raises £1 million, then we've accomplished our goal.
They both focus on getting injured army personnel back into the workplace, training them up through, primarily through sort of motorsport and mechanics, that sort of thing. Help them retrain and sort of get back into society. Well, since the balls really started rolling with this expedition from really the beginning of this year, well, the latter part of last year really, we've been sort of training 5 days a week down the gym. We've got our monthly group training sessions.
Wales was absolutely fantastic. It was the worst rain I think I've ever been in. The winds at the top of the mountains were they just did not let off. They kept on and on and on. But it was great fun. We were all prepared. We all had our waterproofs on, although we did find out nothing's actually waterproof.
Really focusing on core strength down the gym as well, because when you've got a harness on, it's going to be a lot of core strength. Just building up our fitness day to day, trying to get the miles in, trying to just get used to being on your feet for sort of 14, 15, 16 hours a day, which is something you wouldn't normally do.
Everybody says it's 70% mental, 30% physical. So you can prepare yourself physically, can't you? How well you can prepare yourself mentally, I don't know. We've worked out where we're going. We've plotted our route. And so in order to make sure that we know where we're going, we've literally marked a point on the map, sort of 4 or 5 clicks away. We navigate to that, check where we are, make sure we're going the right direction, and then move on to the next waypoint. And we can obviously reference those to the map because we've marked points of significance on the map somewhere. Well, it's very important when we get to the Arctic, because we will obviously aim to navigate our way around problems. So if there are pressure ridges or open water or boulder fields, we want to go around them rather than literally go from point A to point B in a straight line. We will have obstacles to get around, so it's very important we get used to using the equipment and understanding where we're going and how to use it, and how to make sure we know where we are on the pole and the Arctic and how far we've got and how far we've got to go. He wants 1 bag for sweet, 1 bag for savoury.
Yeah, I think I'd rather do that as
Try
well.
that. There's a little packet of wet wipes there as well.
Oh,
Yeah.
great.
Don't want you guys stinking out too much.
This is our dinner. These are our day bags. So in the pole, we will every 2 hours we stop for 10 minutes for something to eat. We can't stop for any longer, otherwise we'll get cold.
Oh, James.
Breakfast in the morning, dinner in the evening, throughout the day. We nibble from our day bags, which we keep to hand. And obviously we do it in advance of leaving. It goes in the pog with all the other stuff. I guess that also represents the bulk of the weight, the food and the fuel. But yeah, as many calories and fat as we can possibly get. We will consume, our bodies will use about 10,000 calories a day. Difficult to eat more than about 6,000, so got to get as much down as possible each day, otherwise we'll come out being terribly skinny and weak and feeble.
Bit like Matt is now, really. To be honest, I had no thought or idea about tent fires until just recently, when I was doing the stoves for the first day. And each stove seems to have its own characteristic, and when you turn the stove on, you have to make sure that you just let a little bit of gas burn up first, then you feed it lightly and lightly till it gets to the core temperature, and then it's away. And some of the flames that just spark out of the stove are huge, but of course in a little tent it's not going to take much to catch fire. So you use a lid of a pot or something like that just to dampen the flame down. But it's a bit of getting used to it, getting the knack, and once you've got the knack it should be easy. However, that's probably the time you'll get a right spark, and you won't be prepared for it. So you've got to be very careful each and every time.
I'm Phil Hayday Brown. I'm a polar expedition leader for the City Endeavour Boys North Pole 2013. I've been in the cold for over a decade. It's a bit of a claim, but it wasn't until really 2004 when I went to the Arctic. I got up there in the Canadian High Arctic and helped plan a race to the magnetic North Pole, and did that for many years. And then eventually got to race and help organise to the South Pole as well. Well, they could be coming up against polar bears, which it's quite rare that high up, but potentially there's still the risk. There are ice rubble fields, which you could have ice rubble the size of houses, the size of cars.
The list is quite vast. I mean, obviously the first thing that springs to mind is the climate. So you've got the extreme cold. I think it's going to be down to about -50, possibly higher with wind chill.
You know, pressure ridges are going to be a challenge. So where you get sheets of ice coming together, you get this wall forming, and we may well have to get up over those rather than around them, and that presents a hazard if anybody falls off at that point.
Also the chance of open water.
So we might have to get in it, and that's not pleasant. I don't look forward to that.
And high winds, sleep deprivation, it's 24-hour sunshine, so there's a lot that is going to be hitting them.
It's really, you know, knowing how to prepare for these potential dangers, and if you know, God forbid, anything that does happen, knowing how to cope with that as well.
Well, it's their enthusiasm really gripped me, because you get a lot of people who contact you, and it's a bit of a pie in the sky idea. You know, sitting in a pub sounds like a great plan, but when they try to put it into practice, it's not. So I went to meet them in London, and within 5 minutes, I thought, yes, these guys can do this. They've got to work hard. There's a lot to do. They haven't done much. So you know, I put a full training package together, spanning over 14 months. We're about halfway through it now. They're doing quite well. There's still quite a lot to work on, quite a lot to do, but they're well aware of that.
Phil's very keen on tent routine, and the more we go out, the more I can see why. when you've got 3 guys in a very confined space, there's not a great deal of room. But within that space, you've got to host everything. So one part of the tent is where you do your cooking. It's exactly like being at home. You've got 2 stoves. All your equipment has got to be ready, prepared, and easily accessible to be able to use properly. You've got to keep it clean, you've got to keep it tidy. The other end of the tent is where all the kit goes. And then in the middle, there's the 3 of us with our sleeping bags and anti-snoring tablets, all sorts of things for that. But it is that everybody has an individual role to play.
It's very much sort of a team effort, and we're just practicing that over and over to make sure it's just, you know, we can almost do it with our eyes closed. You know, because when you're out there, when it's -50 and the wind's going, you want to be able to get that tent up in 2-3 minutes, and you don't want to have people tripping over ropes or people saying, "Oh, why is this pole not put in properly?" So we're just practicing that.
Did that 100 times yesterday.
Right.
Is that the lanyard broke? After about 100 yards on the bottle.
Yeah.
So James, what's happening today?
We've got our big walk today across the moors. Now setting off about 8:30, I think.
I don't do it when I'm going
If we
along.
pick up the pace, set to arrive about 4 PM. I think we're doing about 20 kilometres. It's nice and warm already, so it's going to be a bit of a challenge, but look forward to it.
If anyone's going to fall over, now's the time to do it.
Yeah.
We managed to get a bit lost on the way here. We took a scenic route, which was eventful. Simon's managed to snap one of his poles, and we ended up walking through shrubbery rather than taking an actual path, which, you know, adds a whole new dimension. But we're nearly here now. I think I was a bit dehydrated, didn't anticipate how much water we were going to be drinking. But yeah, have a quick rest here, and then, you know, I think we'll be ready to go for this afternoon with water.
Just another dimension, isn't it? It's just quite sapping. But we managed to find the odd stream. We boiled some water up to make a cup of tea. Wetted our clothes. Yeah, we've got a bit of a breeze this afternoon, which is a bit more refreshing.
And how far have you got to go to tonight's camp spot?
A long way, a very long way. We've spent 5 hours or so not doing a great deal. So I reckon we've got about 18 kilometres, and we're about 2 hours behind schedule. So we're going to crack on.
A lot of people arrive at the pole with great intentions and cry like babies and want to run home to mummy. I mean, it's the brutally harsh environment, and there's no getting away from that. We can't take for granted that we are going to be, you know, brilliantly prepared and just crack on with it. It's going to be harsh. You know, I'm expecting it to be painful to stand still. You know, and we can go and train ourselves and do our 10-12 hour walks here in the UK, but to do 12-14 hours every day for 10-15 days at -25, -40 is going to be incredibly difficult.
And finally, I mean, is there a website or anything that people can visit?
Indeed there is, cityendeavour.org. We've also got from there Facebook, Twitter and our Just Giving site. So anybody wants to go onto the city.org website will get access to everywhere, but the Just Giving site is the most important bit, because that's where obviously we want to start getting the donations raising, and we're looking for £1 million.
So if you go onto cityendeavour.org, our website, then you can click on the Just Giving website, or the Just Giving box at the bottom of the homepage, and you can donate your £5, £10, which would be gratefully received.